Hi, Stephen.
Hi there.
Hi. I don't see I don't see you.
Oh, let me see if I can get this. This is new, this tool for me, so bear with me.
Sure. There
Um, Start video. Is
you
this?
are. Oh,
Hi.
nice to see you.
Yes, same here. So probably there's this thing I need to just switch over it. There's a
Oh,
little
yeah.
patch over it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask you a few casual questions about Flawless Consulting, but I guess I'm going to do that formally in just a moment. I
Yes.
really appreciate you taking time to do this, Stephen, and
Sure.
for whatever words you want to share. And so you can see that our call is recording. This is all just going to be cut and left on the editing room floor. We have a video
Sure.
editor. And just the context behind this, I don't remember if I shared this via email, but Anna Grace had wanted to put together something that she could email to potential sponsors, managers, participants who might be interested, so that they wouldn't, before they even have to commit to a 30-minute webinar to find out more, they could just learn a little bit more about what it is and what's involved and so on. So
Okay.
we cut some footage of Peter Block talking about it, Jeff and I talking about it. We've got some just kind of some overarching, stock footage and things like that. So the total will be 5 minutes. So your clip, and then we've got Ariana Robinson is her name, in Houston, who
Okay.
is, I don't think she's an HR consultant. I think she might be on the OD side.
Okay.
But she went through the course in January in Houston.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm happy to help and promote this, because I personally thought it was a great course. So I immediately jumped on this and was like, yes, let me help spread the word. Yes.
Great. And I thought, wow, Stephen will be so dynamic, and he's just got such a presence. So
Thank you.
So I've got my questions here. So I'll just ask a question and
Sure.
speak and think brief and short
Yeah,
answers, because we're going for
of
just
course.
sound bites, of course.
Sure.
So my first question, Stephen, what did you enjoy most about the Flawless Consulting Workshop?
Sure. So for me, a couple of things here. I love the fact that it was face-to-face for 2 days, that we got to take the time to really delve into the content of the book, to help bring it more alive. I thought the facilitation was excellent. To bring external experts for this course brings this new dynamic and this fresh insights, which I thought was really good. There was role plays involved, so you could actually practice some of the materials. And I thought the actual content and the model that was used was simple, it made sense, but it's also effective. And that's already was clear during the, during the breakouts or the role plays. That's like, oh, this actually does make a difference. It is a different way of having a conversation. So that was, for me, the key points there.
Thank you. That's great. That's great. What results have you seen from applying the Flawless Consulting model and framework to your work with clients?
Yeah, so let me tell you, I'm basically, what I've realized from this course is that I never really had true commitment conversations, in the sense of, I always thought I had them, but it actually meant that I was more committing to what the client wanted versus here is what I want as well, because it should be an equal partnership. And I've noticed that those conversations then also go differently, because I noticed that my clients sometimes also taken a bit aback, like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. You also have certain requirements, certain things that you need to make this a success. And I had one particular conversation with a client where I really pushed back on ultimately saying, I am not convinced that this is the right thing to do. You're jumping to an end result, but let's go deeper. Let's go to what you really want to do and break it down in terms of what I would need to get us there. And then we'll see where we end up with. And that was a completely different conversation. And I saw that my client also was a bit like, oh, because I thought I'd just hand over some work to you, but oh, we're going there. And I think ultimately it was a way better outcome. So I think that was a really, really good example of the power of these kind of conversations.
I love that. I love hearing that. That's fantastic. And especially that that was a way better outcome. And
Yes. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love that your practice of I want, which feels in the moment kind of like, is this going to fly? But you saw that it got him. I think you said it was
It was her. Yeah.
It got her to really kind of sit up straight, like, oh, we're going there.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
it also made her think of, okay, yes, let me think a little bit more around, okay, if this is what you need, am I willing to support this or not? And then it became much more of a discussion around what are we really trying to achieve here, rather than you are helping me for this piece of work, so go do it. It just changed the whole dynamic in the room and the conversation, which was good.
That's fantastic. If you think about measuring, quantifying, I should say, the impact of that, I've heard recently people talk about saved meeting time because there's more clarity, which means more efficiency of working as opposed to 5 meetings to get that clarity. It takes 1 meeting. You said this is a way better outcome. Do you have any thoughts on how that impact might be quantified if you were to do that?
Yeah, so I think in this case, I'm not sure about the meeting itself to shorten it, but the outcome was much better. So she really had in mind, this was around something to do with her team and team effectiveness. And she just jumped to a certain conclusion. And during the conversation, I prompted her on her own assumptions that she was making around her team. So in that sense, it is way more effective because what you actually are doing now is you're actually starting to analyze what is really the issue in this team here, rather than her view on the team, which is more like a symptom that she sees and she wants to sort out. You're really going to the root cause of what's underlying this dynamic in your team, which is way more effective.
That's so great. That's so great. And I'm thinking to myself, I think we have a coaching call, so we could dive into this
Yes. Yeah.
when we're not being
Yes.
recorded and we can
Yeah.
talk more about it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. What surprised you about the experience?
Well, what surprised me about the experience was, as I mentioned before, is I always thought I had contact in conversation. Turns out I wasn't. So that was one major aha moment. The other aha moment for me was if you use the I want statements, they work. And it doesn't create a tension in the conversation at all. It creates clarity. And for me, that was another aha moment, which I will continue using from now on out. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Boy, I'm gonna repeat that to other workshops because there is a feeling that it's gonna create tension.
Yeah.
That it creates clarity.
Yeah.
That's great. Were there any other elements of the Flawless Consulting learning journey? We haven't done coaching yet. There was the learning portal, the introductory call. Any other elements that you found useful?
Yeah, so I thought the book itself was really useful. The materials in that. I thought the app makes it really easy to do your homework and you get prompts and it really works to already start thinking of concrete examples. And I really appreciate it. We haven't done it yet, but I really appreciate the coaching afterwards where you actually have the opportunity to have one-on-one coaching. It doesn't happen very often that we do get that opportunity to have almost a one-on-one coach. So that's really an added bonus. It's not just 2 days, but it's actually much more than that, much richer.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Last question. What advice would you give to someone considering registering in Flawless Consulting?
Okay, so anyone who is thinking about it, they need to listen very carefully. You need to sign up. That's basically my moment here to just say, I thought this was one of the best courses I've done within Shell. So I would recommend this to anyone who is considering of signing up for this. I think it really makes you a better HR consultant having gone through this course. I think it's a really, really solid course.
That's great. Thank you, Stephen. That's
Yeah,
it.
you're welcome.
And scene.
Okay.
Uh, I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. That's great. That's
sure.
just great to hear that it's been impactful for you.
Yeah.
And I know that you mentioned having outside folks come in. I know that that's not, I heard from you guys that that's not as common a thing. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's helpful and that it was relevant, because that's the risk
Yeah.
of bringing somebody in, is that it's not relevant,
Sure. Yeah.
but that it was relevant,
Yes.
and there was a different perspective that was useful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was indeed, it didn't feel like a typical indeed shell course where in shell courses, we often, it's internal, you get someone that's really focused on almost like a technical, like this is a model to use, and then you focus more on the model rather than what's behind it, what are we trying to do here, and what are the key skill sets that we're trying to use. And of course, you use the model in this course as well, but it's not all about the model,
Yeah.
and for me that felt different. I thought, okay, this is really good.
Yeah, good. The application was there.
Yeah.
I'm curious. We can wrap here, but something that I remember Gretchen saying was about and I can't remember the term she used, but it was something about the career trajectory.
Right.
Is there a
I
term?
don't remember what she said about career trajectory, but what was triggering for you about it?
Thinking about and listening to you talk about the benefit to you and the practicality. And one of the things that I remember, I don't know why this popped into my mind, but about how Gretchen said that this will help you long term. And there's something that within HR, she had said that they were working on was what is the long term like career path or career trajectory. And there was an acronym. I think there was a 3-letter acronym. Does that ring a bell?
Not the acronym itself, or an EVP, maybe the employee
What?
value proposition. Could that have been it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I know that they're working on that because I think it is a new model to be an HR consultant, and I think a lot of people in HR consultant roles miss that direct business partnering. You're not linked to a business where you actually work on the HR strategy for a number of years. It basically means you're more free flowing and you're being thrown into different parts of the business, which is exciting in itself. But some people fear that they miss that ongoing business connection and knowledge. So I think probably you've noticed that in the beginning of the course that some people ask questions about how do I, make a connection with the business, and how do I, get started if I don't know them very well. I think that's part of the journey that we're on as HR is, yeah, it does require a bit different skill set, and it does require a different attitude from you as an HR person. It's not better or worse, it's just a different model, and it requires something different from us, and
Yeah.
it's new, so we need to grow into this. So and I think also this course helped because one of these skill sets is to have good conversations with your clients, because you can't rely on, oh, we've worked together for a year, or I've been at 4 of your leadership team meetings. This is the first time that you are speaking, so you need to be good in sort of not going too deep in the discovery phase, but a little of like understanding what the problem is. And that was one other aha moment, if I may, was the one about different questions, where it was around, what is the problem? How are others contributing to the problem? How are you contributing to the problem? And I was like, oh, that's a question. Like, that's a tough question to ask, but it's so powerful, such a powerful question. Which again helps you if you don't know the individual, you don't know the context. These are questions that will help.
Yeah, they will help, and they're risky.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's a choice. We can take that risk and go a lot farther, a lot faster in that project, in that relationship, if we take that risk. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It was great to hear you, and I would zip my mouth so in case there's some footage there, around the way you described that challenge. And I did the intro for the video, and I tried to capture that because this is specific to Shell. We're going to make actually a different version for just our own website since we got together and did some of this footage. But in the intro for Shell, I said, we understand that with the new operating model, there are challenges of connecting with clients with whom you've never worked before, with partnering with other colleagues within HR, where you're trying to figure out roles on new projects. So yeah, that's the thing that I've heard across these workshops. So it was good to hear you articulate it too.
Okay, perfect.
Just FYI, Anna Grace is considering Flawless Consulting 2 for 2020.
Okay.
And it's a 2-day workshop that follows up on Flawless Consulting 1 and goes deeper into that discovery and feedback phase.
Right. Yeah.
It's a fun workshop because it's all case study based. You're moving around, interviewing Chris from Buchanan Shipbuilding.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then Chris's teammates who are straight from the workshop, given prompts on how to play Terry and Kelly and Pat. And then giving a feedback meeting back to Chris. So stay tuned for that, because that might.
Okay, cool.
Next couple months. So I think that's time. But Stephen, I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope that that this wasn't too much trouble out of your day. I know it's end of day your time, and
perfect. No, it's completely fine. It's Friday afternoon, so we're good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I wanted to tell you, I spent 2 days in Amsterdam after I left you guys.
Oh yeah.
Jeff stayed for a day, and it was so fantastic. I got to see the Keukenhof.
Oh yeah.
I was there for the Day of Remembrance.
Yeah.
Saturday night, and was in I forget what square within Amsterdam, and observed the moment of silence, and just had a fantastic day. So
yeah, it's a big moment for us here. So it's like the whole country just stops for 2 minutes and just. People just, it's quiet everywhere, which is quite powerful. Yeah.
It was really powerful. I don't know your national anthem, but I was really moved to hear that and see everybody in silence.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Nice to hear that. It was nice. Good.
Thank you for hosting this one. And
sure.
I brought back so many stroop waffles that my kids were like, enough stroop waffles.
So funny. Good.
Well, thanks again, Stephen. And I'll let you know, you'll see the video. Maybe if I get the video editor a preview to share with you, I will.
Perfect. Good.
All right.
Well, I wish you a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Happy weekend.
It's still Friday, but then also for later a great weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch for my coaching conversation.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye.